What's up, MozyGirl? It's MozyGirl. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Did you miss me? Because I missed you, Pookie. Sorry, that was kind of cringe, but hey guys, we are back and it's part 2 of the Noughts and Crosses series. You'll see I'm looking very cutesy, very demure in my nice little red shirt. Because today we're gonna be talking about knife edge. Yeah, I know. I decided to be ironic and look all cutesy and then pull out the knife edge. So we're gonna move quickly along because y'all came here to hear about the book, not just hear me yap. So starting off with a recap from our last video where I talked about the first book in the series, Noughts and Crosses. Let's just quickly explain what went on there. Book 1 of this series, Noughts and Crosses, is a romantic, action-packed book that I love with all my heart and soul. And it basically centers around the injustice between noughts and crosses. So noughts are actually white people and blacks are crosses. So the crosses are the hierarchy and the noughts are, discriminated, and it literally means nothing. Noughts literally means nothing. Now, before you start thinking, oh my gosh, the blacks have colonized, they're ruling, calm down. It's written by a black author, and she basically chose a very creative way to portray what her life was like as a black girl in the UK. So yes, it's UK. It's set in the UK. I've learned a lot of British slang, y'all. Sort you. Can't believe I forgot to mention this. The author's name is Malorie Blackman. Love her. Incredible writer. Ooh, yo, we have to get used to this. Okay, he's the newest addition to the Mozy crew. Everybody say hi. We need to figure out a name. And we're not calling him Mike. I'm so funny. We're not calling him Mike because he's a Mike. Anyway, so it goes along a 4-year period. Yes, a pretty hefty book. And it follows these two main characters, Seffi Hadley and Callum. Jesus, I forget the man last name. Callum McGregor. And basically, at the time it started when Seffi was 13 and Callum was 15. Super cutesy, yeah. Anyway, they have very different families. Callum is a North, Seffi is a Cross. They end up falling in love, and we all know that comes with many complications. In addition, Seffi's daddy is in the running to be the next prime minister. So Seffi's a tad bit spoiled. They have a lot of complications along the way, betrayals and drama, and it's so much, but I don't want to spoil anything. However, one thing I really want to add, because I think it's very important and so significant, because I don't want people to judge this book judge the book by its cover. Sorry. It's that there's something called the Liberation Militia. Now, if you've done history, you would know what that is back in the days. And they basically like the law enforcers. In this case, in this book, it's Noughts fighting for the rights of Noughts, and I think that's just so symbolic. And so I don't know, it's just something about Malorie, and I want to know where she got the unction to function with this book. It's just so incredible, and I really recommend it to any and everybody. But basically, things just progressively get worse as they get older, and then they have a very tragic meetup that ends very tragically. Yeah, there are other characters, of course. Seffi's parents, Jasmine Hadley and Kamal Hadley, and Seffi's sister Maneuver Hadley. And then of course we have Callum's family. We have his parents, Maggie McGregor and Ryan McGregor, and his siblings, Lynette and Jude. And this next book, you're gonna see a lot of Jude. Both characters, Seffi and Callum, they had a hope that we would live in peace and harmony. That did not happen, and we see why as the years progress. Now, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm sorry if it feels like there's a lot of gaps in that recap. But basically, there's just there's a chain of events that lead up to one drastic event that I can't spell for you because that would ruin the whole book. let's get into it. So, I have a little confession to make, y'all. I got a little confession to make. I actually read this book first. So let me explain how I was even introduced to the series in the first place. So I saw the book in the library and I was like, oh, I'm gonna read it. And then I realized, oh, it's a book two. So I'm trying to find book one. Book one is not in the library. Cool breeze. Then I finished this book. I started the third book because that one is in the library. And I reached halfway through that. And then my friend gives me the rest of the books in the series. God is so good. I love that. And so I'm like, all right, I'm halfway through the third book. I don't really want to stop the third book to go to the first book. So I continue. And basically, I read the first book last. So I kind of spoil everything for myself. So unfortunately, I did not get the gasping moments as I should have in the first book. So this is a series you have to read from the beginning. Don't do like me, please. But this book literally picks up right where we left off in the end of the first book. And long story short, Seffi's pregnant, and Seffi just gave birth to her lovely daughter, Callie Rose. Now, I feel like giving the child's name might be a bit of a spoiler, but just guess who the daddy is. So we're going into the summary now, and basically, this book, as I said, it starts off with Seffi giving birth to her daughter, Callie Rose. We love Callie. She's such a cute little baby, and Seffi's like going through this existential crisis while she's okay. I need to stop. Right, so she's seeing the baby for the first time. It's bringing up a lot of different memories. It's bringing up a lot of different feelings, a lot of different thoughts. Obviously, I never had a child, but I'm sure there was some vomiting going on or something because it's a lot to process, especially if you've finished your first book and you know exactly how this child was conceived. Yeah, it's a lot. And obviously, being a politician's daughter, this was all over. This was not looking good for her family. It was not looking good for her. She was pretty much broke at the time, and she's just like, hey, what do I do? And eventually, as she stays in the hospital a little bit more, she warms up with the baby. She starts to have a true love and care for her baby. Now, another additional note that I think is very important, the hospital she was in, it was a hospital typically for Noughts that Noughts would go to. But it was all she could afford, obviously, because daddy cut her off, and um she was facing some discrimination there. They're like, you're gonna go back to your queen size bed and and they just don't like her very much. And she's just like, if only you saw my living situation, my whole apartment could fit in this room. And I just think that's a really important note, just to add to the dynamic that you see in this book. Moving swiftly along, this book summary is kind of short. It's not as thick as is the last one. So she comes out of the hospital and she needs to stay with somebody. Obviously, she can't stay with her parents, so she stays with the parent of her baby daddy, and well, the mom of her baby daddy. Which, hey, who that I cannot explain why, but that is why, right? Um, what I said, that is why. There's no reason why. But they have their own differences. Her mother-in-law has a very different way of raising the child, and she's just trying to figure out life and survive and make money. And it's just this whole thing. And eventually, she finds a love and passion for making music. So cute. So she starts to make music. She has this band. She's making some steady income for her child, and it's going swell enough. But that's from Seffi's perspective. Let's talk about Jude's perspective. So that's the main characters of this book: Seffi, Haley, and Jude McGregor. Before I get to Jude's perspective, let me just finish the summary and then we can talk about the characters. So while Seffi is going through all of this, Jude is like going through his own stuff, which I'll get to in a little bit. And eventually they end up having an interaction, which didn't go so well. And long story short, Jude ends up in some problems. Seffi has to help him. And, things occur. And it ends off on another tragic note. All I have to say is why, Malorie? Why? but moving swiftly along, we're going to talk about the characters and their character development as the story progresses. So, as I said, we were going to talk about Jude's perspective, so we'll start with him. Jude McGregor he's been through a lot in the first book. He's been through a lot. I can't even blame him. He's been through a lot. He has faced many challenges, and he is now a part of the Liberation Militia. And this man, who has such a hatred for crosses, that he has a rule book that he lives by, where most of them are: do not trust crosses, do not let your feelings get in the way. Da da da. I'll find like a quote later on and tell you some of his rules, because this man is kind of psychotic. So obviously he wants justice for his family as a Nought who's lived this life and obviously doesn't like it very much, you know. And while being in the Liberation Militia, he kind of has to lay low, because obviously the Liberation Militia, although they fight for justice, they don't have the most innocent actions. So the crosses are like, burn them. No, but you get the point, you get the gist. So he has to like lay low until he could do certain things, because again, one of the tragedies that happened led him to kind of be in trouble with the cops. That happened in the first book. Again, another reason why you should read the first book, because I'm reading this and I'm lost. I'm like, why are you running away? Why are you wearing wigs? Why you need a cross to vouch for you and get you out safely? I'm confused. I'm confused. And then he ends up in another situation. He makes a very bad decision, breaks one of his rules, and ends up you know, facing, yeah, I'm just gonna say it, jail time. So this kind of led him to go a little bit insane. First of all, he was insane before that, but obviously this brought more problems into his equation, into his plan that he had from since the get-go, of probably since he could walk. Once again, there's like a more prominent character in this book, and I would say it's Sephi, although Jude does, yes, this is also dual POV between Sephi and Jude, and sometimes Sephi's mother-in-law, and but obviously the mother-in-law is like, get away. But Sephi and Jude are definitely the main characters, and when they join together, that's so symbolic, I think. But anyway, that's not important. But I feel like Sephi is the more prominent character in this book, because you see her development and what she learns in motherhood, and how her life changes, and how she has to think a lot more before she makes certain decisions, and it's just very cool. But Jude, however, just continues to hate crosses. That's basic. The best way I can summarize it is he continues to hate crosses. That's it. I think we're gonna get quickly into quotes, and we're gonna stop there with explaining the story and all of that, because I feel like if I keep talking, I will end up spoiling something. But now we're gonna do a quick recap and a re-summarization summary, that's a word, right? Yeah, summarization of what I just talked about, because I feel like I yap and I don't have a proper structure to what I'm saying. Sephi has baby. Jude is on the run. Sephi navigates motherhood. Jude makes some terrible decisions. Sephi and Jude come together. Tragic incident at the end that leaves us on a to be continued. And unfortunately, we can't just binge like that. And that's basically it for Knife Edge. Now we are gonna get straight into quotes. I don't have any very significant quotes of this book, because like I said, I read this in the library, so I didn't take note of anything. But I'm gonna tell you guys all of Jude's rules. Let's get into it. So I just remember that I started rereading the book, and I did take note of some quotes. Long-term living had taken a backseat to short-term survival. I just she's just so good. So they are in no particular order, because he doesn't say them in any particular order. First, we have Jude's rule number 2: never trust a cross, ever. Now, that last quote he said while literally following the orders of a cross. Make it make sense. Jude's rule number 5. These dogs coming out. Never get so close to anyone or anything that you can't walk away at a moment's notice if you have to. Honestly, that's kind of solid advice to me. So we have 2 here. Jude's 4th law: caring equals vulnerability. Never show either. That's kind of solid advice. And also, he said, I'm going to make them all pay. You're a little scary. And then we finally get the first rule. He says, Jude's first cardinal rule: never, ever allow yourself to feel. Feelings kill. Jude's law number 6 says, do unto others as they would do unto you. Only do it first. Why does Mark kind of spit in some bars? And that concludes all of Jude's laws, guys. Let me know if there's any that you agree with, because the man isn't completely stupid. And that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a big, fat, juicy like, subscribe to join the MozyGirl, and hit that notification bell so you always get a ting, a ling, a ling, a ling, a ling, ting, a ling, a ling, a ling, a ling. I can sing it now. I'm a singer. Give me my Grammy. But guys, love is in the air, so go show yourself some love by getting this book. Okay, there is a little bit of romance in there. Okay, get it. Gift yourself. Be your own Valentine. But I think the MozyCrew will be my Valentine this year. I love you guys so much. Bye, guys. We cut in that whole thing. I think we need to come up with a new ending. Love y'all.